Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Alus Earthree Gundam, and of course this is from the anime Gundam Build Divers ReRise, which is free here on YouTube, so if you haven't checked it out just yet, make sure that you do. This right here is a kit I'm super hyped about. I loved the standard Core Gundam before I got my hands on it. I thought it'd be silly, daft, fairly low quality, but it was not. It was so awesome, and I'm hoping for something fairly similar from this right here. And speaking of things that are awesome, if you haven't seen my last review, which was the real grade Destiny Gundam, check that out. That is a kit not to be missed. Anyway, as usual, this video right here would not be possible without those absolutely awesome people over at Hobbylink Japan. So if you do want one of these of your own, then check out that link down there in the description. Now here we go. So getting right into the review now, and that right there is the Alus Earthree Gundam with absolutely everything that it comes with. So that of course is this big old rack of accessories. This is pretty cool that it has a little stand in here for holding onto everything, which is kind of like that little planet system unit we saw before with the Earthree. And we have a bunch of stickers here. Whoa. I guess he wants me to show them to you a little bit closer, but I will keep that a bit for later. First, let's take a look at the box. So first up there is the front of the box with the box art looking pretty cool. We've got the little Core Gundam up front, the Earthree in back. If we flip around to the first side of the box, we've got the blurb, as well as a front and rear image of what this will look like with that Earthree Armor on. You can pause it at any point right now if you want to read that blurb, catch up on what the Alus Earthree Gundam is all about. And then flying around to this side of the box, we've got a bunch of information on the actions. Basically everything that we will be seeing inside of the box, which is the armor on the rack, the Alus Core Gundam, the Earthree Armor, the weapons, and a bit of detailing on the different heads in here. So there is a lot of head changing to go on in here, but we'll talk about that a little bit more when we're looking at the accessories. Finally, that right there in the corner is one of the coolest aspects about this kit. So all the armor parts we would have seen with the standard Core Gundam, all the different variants of the planet system, etc., are interchangeable with this kit, as well as the upcoming extra parts for this kit. So there is a whole lot of potential with these kits. But that is enough about the box. Let's check out the Core Gundam. Anyway, that right there is what the Alus Core Gundam looks like out of the box, just snapped together with the stickers attached. And as for the stickers, I might as well mention those first. So there is quite a few in here, as you can see, but for the most part, these are those metallic shiny stickers, so I don't find these as bad as color correcting stickers. We did have one color correcting sticker in here. This is for one of the accessories. I will mention that later on. It is basically the hand armor on the back of the beam effect. But besides that, once again, these are all just reflective stickers here and there on the kit itself, as well as on the armor. If you're curious as to why there is two sets of the same ones here, you can build this either as the Alus Core Gundam, which is using the red ones right here like I have done back here on the model kit, or you can use the purple ones to make the Eldora Core Gundam. So it's either purple or red. I found that the red pops a lot more, so that's what I went with. Anyway, as usual, there is that full body, full 360-degree spin, so you can see every angle of this kit and check out all that detail. So once again, this is just straight built with the stickers. None of the stickers really stand out too much. They look quite good for stickers. One of the real standout points of this kit for me is the clear parts on the chest, and especially on that big old dome of a head. That perfectly rounded clear purple part to me looks absolutely fantastic. It is worth noting as well at this point that a lot of this kit is based on the standard Core Gundam, as you'd expect. So there is some leftover parts of the Core Gundam on the runner, which we'll look at very soon, and we'll compare this guy right here to the Core Gundam itself. But this is one awesome variant of the Core Gundam, and I adore it. It's so cool. As is generally the case with dark plastic, the nub marks and the mold lines show up very apparently on the surface of this guy. So if you are quite particular about that sort of thing, it will take a little longer than usual to clean this little guy up, but besides that, everything is pretty much perfect. Anyway, the moment of truth, and there it is side by side with the standard variant of the Core Gundam. So it does stand quite a bit taller than this, mainly because it's got a lot of extra length to the feet. And if you're like me and those arms kind of, well, stand out a lot to you in a kind of apish monkey kind of way, well, you could always shorten them. It's pretty simple. Because, like I mentioned, this is heavily based on Core Gundam back there, that this does have the standard length arms in underneath there. So I actually missed a bit in the instructions when I was initially building this and built the arms like this, which kind of looks a little bit better. And if you're like, yeah, but those big old ET hands though. In the leftover parts, we do have the standard Core Gundam's hands, so if you wanted to, you could modify that type of arm into that type of arm right there. And speaking of leftover parts, as well as the pair of hands that I mentioned already, we also have the standard feet and the entire standard chest of the Core Gundam. So these are pairs, I just didn't cut the other ones off the runner. And we also have a bit of the leftover Core Gundam shield and parts of the legs from the Earthree Armor. So you can use these as custom parts for a Core Gundam or something like that. But before we actually take a look at the accessories that we have in here, which once again all load onto this one cool stand, let's check out the articulation on the Core Gundam itself before the core docking happens. So once again, because this is based heavily on the Core Gundam, it's just as solid and awesome. At the neck, it's the standard polycap giving you that giggity goo. There's the head looking all the way up, looking all the way down, the side to side tilt, and the full spin all the way around. At the shoulders, these do unlock and pull out just like we saw with the Core Gundam. That is part of the transformation, but it does allow for a lot of killer articulation. Just look at that arm raise. So that means the shoulder polycap is aligned in an up and down motion there. This is a standard ball and socket here. So there we got that typical 360 spin. Polycap joint in here inside of the shoulder armor. Full upper arm spin. Very nice bend at the elbow. Ball joint wrist. Wings instead of beam sabers back here, but they flip upwards like so. Once again, absolutely nothing when it comes to the ab crunch. There is the rotation, so that's all the way around. Ball joints right here for the front skirting armor. These come attached on the runner, but I cut them apart so they're independent. Standard fixed peg inside of the hip joint, so that doesn't have any motion of its own. There is the kick all the way up to the front. Very nice. All the way out to the back. Pretty good. Well, that's more than pretty good. As for the splits, nearly, but not all the way. This armor lip at the front means we don't have full rotation at the upper leg. There is the bend at the knee, but we do have this extra bend down here, which I don't know what to describe it as. A lower knee? Is it the ankle? What is that? But as for what that does on its own, it drops it back like this. There's it up like so. This segment here is a ball joint, so it does exactly what a ball joint does. We've got another point of articulation right here. There's it all the way down, all the way up. And these claws can open up like so. And these are incredibly strong, so these can be a lot of fun. So once again, the articulation on the Alus Core Gundam is pretty much the same as the Core Gundam, except a lot more fun down here at the feet. But now into the main event, accessories time. So that right there is the Alus Core Gundam and everything that comes in the box. So that of course is the armor to make it into the Alus Earthree Gundam. We've got that beam rifle, beam blade, and an extra head for using with the Core Gundam's armor. So there's going to be a lot from here on out. We've got to try this guy with his own armor, this guy with that armor, and it's time for the Alus fashion show with the Mars armor, Venus armor, Jupiter armor, Mercury armor, and Earthree armor. So yeah, let's work our way through this. So first off, there is all of the accessories on that rack, and I mean all of them. The rifle fits up here, the alternate head is back here, and the alternate hands, which I forgot to mention already, those are down in here. So these are a pair of holding hands we're using with the Alus Core Gundam, and they're slightly different to that we would have seen with the leftover Earthree ones, which are on the runners as extras. So everything fits on here seamlessly and perfectly. That is including the rifle, the head back here, the beam blade, and all of the armor. This is a neat little design right here. Inside this big old beam rifle, we've got that beam spray gun, which is pretty much exactly what we would have seen before with the standard Core Gundam. That can be used with this little guy by popping off the hand, popping on a holding hand, and just slotting it in like so, as per usual. As for the beam blade, that attaches like an alternate hand, so off with that, on with this. It is ambidextrous. They have positioned the thumb exactly in the middle there, so it can be used on either the left or the right. I did mention it earlier on, but this back here is a sticker. Almost hard to notice, that's quite good. And this is a nice, vigorous effect part right here, and I love the fact that it comes from the hand. That is pretty rad. But anyway, I think it's about time we got this little guy armored up. So this is 100% exactly like what we would have seen with the Core Gundam, but because this is the first time taking a look at this guy with an armor set, I might as well walk you through it. So chest armor pops on underneath like so, gets capped off by this piece, pretty simple. Exactly the same then on the other side. To attach this skirting armor, it just slots in underneath and clips on like that. Once again, exactly the same on the mirrored side. The Alus Earthree has a fairly big old butt flap, attaches on like that. A nice big old armor section for around on the backpack. Make sure to move these little bits up first so they can come down like so. Shoulders, simple as before, just slide on like that. The legs are definitely the main departure, so you pull everything back just like you would before to get that little attachment hole out. The leg then just plugs in like we would have seen before with the Earthree, but this kit actually has a little compartment back here for hiding the rest of the foot away. So you just tuck that in there, put this piece back on, and it doesn't have that bit of foot sticking out the back like we do have with the standard Core Gundam. The last bit of a departure from the other variant is the entire head has to be pulled off in order to attach the armored variant. So goodbye beautiful clear piece, because now it is gone. The weapon also transforms just by adding this bit of armor to the front, this bit of armor to the back in the reverse of what we did earlier on. This does have a bit of a transformation by popping this segment off, these segments off, then moving them up ever so slightly like that, and then just popping this part on back here like this. So this is a very effective and simple way of making the beam rifle transform. That I love. So anyway, there's the full 360-degree spin of the Alus Earthree Gundam with all that armor attached. And this thing definitely looks unique. As the name suggests, it's the Earthree Gundam, just evil. It is a bit of a bummer that we lost that cool clear part up in the head. Now we've got a bunch of stickers, and there is stickers everywhere here. So if you hate metallic stickers, this might be a little bit of an eyesore. But besides that, I think it looks great. There is no color correcting stickers, so that is pretty cool. And honestly, I can't wait to see what this thing looks like with some of the planet system armor on it. So that's going to be a bit of fun. As for the articulation when the armor is attached, it hasn't that much of an effect on it at all. The only real limitations to this now are where the armor has become a little bit more bulky. So that would be around the chin. It doesn't look down as well as it used to. The butt flap does stop the leg from kicking back as far as it used to. The knee bend on this is still spectacular, even though we do have a whole bunch of armor on this, but the most disappointing aspect is the ankles on this. They are just a simple ball joint inside of that, so you cannot get much at all. That is it, side to side, forward and back, and they are a little bit disappointing. Anyway, now it's time to try on all of that extra armor, and instead of wasting your time pulling all the bits off and sticking them onto them, let's just move right on into it. And there we go. So there is the standard Core Gundam wearing the Alus Earthree Armor, and there is the Alus Core Gundam wearing the standard Earthree Armor. There are a couple of things worth noting that are different. For example, you do have to pop off all of this lower arm section to attach the standard Core Gundam's equipment. And we use that extra head that I was showing you guys a little earlier on. For the most part, this is pretty awesome looking. The only thing that is a little bit, and I mean a little bit, on the disappointing side is the head. The head that can attach all of the standard Core Gundam's armor to it is just this kind of basic looking head with a big old sticker for the face. It's not nearly as nice as either variant of the head we saw so far, especially not nearly as nice as the one with the clear parts. It would have been cool if this was all just some nice clear parts, but hey, what can you do? That does look a little bit basic. Besides that though, all the armor fits perfect, it looks great, and this is a very nice combination right here. As for over here with the standard Core Gundam with the Alus Earthree Armor on, once again we do have a little bit of a head issue here. That is the fact that you cannot mount the V-fin section from the Alus Armor head onto the standard Core Gundam head. It doesn't fit at all. You do have to use those little extender parts of the Alus Core Gundam to make the arms the full length that they should be, like what you're seeing right here. And the feet back here can partially tuck into those little compartments on the back of the legs, so that is pretty rad right there. But yeah, besides that little bit of lack of compatibility up on the heads, these work absolutely perfect together. And let's try out the rest of the armor on this guy right here. Next up, there it is in the fiery red of the Mars armor. This looks pretty cool. The spikiness really goes with the dark color of the Alus Core in there. Same goes with the dark weapons round back, and all in all, this right here looks pretty damn cool. Next up then, there is the Alus Core Gundam in the Venus armor, and once again, this does look quite cool. The purple goes very, very nice with that kind of greeny blue, or should I say bluey green. Again, the dark weapons look great with the general dark color scheme of the Alus. And once again, this color scheme fits pretty well. I'm assuming the next one will be my favorite, so let's find out. Next up then, and there it is with the Jupiter armor. Out of the bunch, this is my favorite armor set, and this does look great on the Alus Core. The harsh contrast between the white and the darker colors looks fantastic, and I guess Bandai even liked it so much that this is the one that's on the box as well. And I did make one mistake, this is not the last one, we've got one more. It never came with a Core Gundam, that's why I forgot. Let's pop it on. Finally there it is with the Mercury armor on, and this is definitely the darkest of the bunch, and almost matches the colors of the Alus Core Gundam underneath. One of the most interesting aspects about this is the style of replacement V-fin that the Mercury one had is kind of like a scuba mask, so this thing has absolutely no V-fin whatsoever, which looks a bit odd, but at the same time, the whole face section that is a sticker is covered up enough to not really notice that it's a sticker, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword. But on the whole, once again, this looks pretty cool. So that right there is it for the review, and as for the Alus Earthree Gundam, this right here is silver tier, which means it's exactly what I would expect from a high-grade kit, and that means it's really, really good. However, it's just not the same level as the gold tier Earthree and Jupiter Gundam. The reason is because it relies so heavily on stickers. There's a little bit of limitation in some of the joints. Up towards the hip at the leg rotation, the ankles on the Earthree Gundam, there is a little bit of limitations here and there that causes it from not excelling. However, there are some real awesome aspects in here. The fact that you can use this with any of the other armors is brilliant. I love the clear part on the head, however the other heads are a little bit of a flop in comparison to the standard one. And I do really like the addition of that little stand for holding onto all of the accessories when they are not in use. This is definitely one of those kits that you might want to buy two of again. Maybe even more, because in future, the armor kits that are coming out for this do not come with one of the little guys included, which seems like it's going to be a little bit disappointing, sadly. However, once again, it's a lot of fun, it's awesome, compatible with the Core Gundam other stuff, and if you're thinking about it, I recommend picking one up. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, there is a link down there in the description. You can get yours at Hobbylink Japan. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. Once again, all my unending thanks to each and every one of you guys. Whether you just watch the videos, like the videos, share them, or support me on the channel memberships and over on Patreon like Craig Jury, Kaiser721, Bolwig, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhart, Hank Handsome, and Sean T.